Is astrology a guide to aid us in mastering the universe? This is the Cosmic Community Podcast with Galactic Ambassador Stacey Dredd. This astrology report is for the week of April 28th, and we are coming into a full moon this week on May 1st. We move through a grand air trine early in the week, and Mercury moves into a new sign this week, Taurus, and then we end the week with a big square between Mars and Jupiter. So peeling it back to the way that we're starting the week energetically, we are making adjustments to some new energy that has come in last week. Venus and Uranus have both moved into air signs, and this is bringing in some interesting interaction with all of the fire that is present in the chart. We have a huge stellium in Aries, as you know, and this is a fire sign. So this is a big, passionate, expressive moment as we have this fiery energy of Aries highlighted. So then you break it down to the elements. When we have more air introduced to the fire, what does it do? It gets that fire rolling and rumbling and crackling even more, and it actually incites it. And so we could see as we are adjusting to these new air energies, Uranus, Venus both moved into Gemini, and Gemini is a curious energy. It's a very mentally stimulating sign, also ruled by Mercury. And so that's how we enter the week, just understanding that we are already in a very fiery time with this Aries energy, this cardinal energy, a very strong leadership energy that is bold and confident and instinctual. And it's ruled by Mars. And so you can see that the chart ruler, because with all of this energy in Aries, the chart ruler is Mars, the ruler of Aries. And so it's aggressive. It's not afraid to take action and shoot first, ask questions later. It's more infantile type of energetic action taking. So be aware that this is a fiery week and that we have introduced even more air movement, especially early on in the week, because on the 28th, we have a grand air trine, and that's when we have a planet or a point in each air sign. Aquarius has Pluto at 5-6 degrees, and Gemini has Venus at 7 degrees, and then Libra is going to house the moon moving through on the 28th, and that creates this grand air trine, and it's a supportive energy. It brings in more of this interaction with the movement and the mental stimulation. So we get the literal air moving, because air signs is all about talking. It's about socializing and networking and getting out and having those conversations that need to be had. So it's very supportive for communication and for getting ideas across. So anything that's going on in your head can really make its way out the mouth easily with this really supportive air energy. So, using that to our benefit, where we're having these conversations that normally we don't have the breath for. Maybe it's a long conversation and we just need a little extra, an extra energetic boost there to back us up, like the winds to our back, as we say. So it's interesting to kind of see where this is in your chart. If you have your birth chart and you look at between 5 and 6, 7 degrees of the air signs, do you have any planets, points here? And which houses are these, and how is this interacting, and where are these ideas and these communications wanting to take place? Also, with air signs, we just have to know when to call it quits with these conversations too. We can tend to over talk things. So be aware though that the moon is just passing through this grand trine pretty quickly. So by the time we reach the next day, it's done. But Venus and Pluto are the other players in this, and Venus is relationships, and Gemini with Venus is about our soulmate, and it's about communicating with the people that we're close to and our partners in life. So Venus in Gemini is interesting. It kind of embraces the aspect of relationships a bit, but it does make it so that we kind of are a little more interested in that other person. And then Pluto in Aquarius is all about transformation, so we're undergoing some kind of transformation in terms of relationships that is going to involve big communication and, spreading out some ideas here. So that's how we work with a grand air trine. But like by the 29th, we've moved on. The moon is moving through the final degrees of Libra for the remainder of the day. And something to be aware of for Wednesday this week is that Venus, that same Venus in Gemini, that's kind of strongly working on relationships and being like very communicative and wanting to talk with the people in our life that are our soulmates and our partners and even our siblings, because Gemini is about the twins. It's ruled by the twins. And so we can tend to want to even reach out to our siblings or people that we feel like we are brotherly and sisterly with. Venus making a T-square to the nodes on Wednesday this week, which makes that day very, very fated in terms of the work that she's doing in Gemini, having these conversations with these other important people in life. And a T-square with the nodes is simply, it's destined, it's fated. So that's why we pay attention with this energy that's coming through in Gemini, taking care because there was a bit of that over-expression and that over-talking, and that because we are so good with our words and wanting to talk and say things, that we can say things that we didn't really mean to say because things are just kind of flowing and coming out. So words are kind of weapons this week in a way, and to take care with these conversations that we're having because they might have a long-term, permanent, fated, destined effect on relationships moving into the future. So then on April 30th, we get a change of the mood as the moon moves into Scorpio. This is happening midday, 12 p.m. We get a shift of the mood from that more lively, outward, social, engaging with the other Libra to Scorpio, which is a much more deep, emotional, intense type of vibe. And when the moon moves into a new sign, it shifts our mood. It shifts the sort of the feelings that we're going towards. So they say play into the moon if you're ever having a tough time in your chart, that something you can do immediately to get some satisfaction, to get that immediate interaction with the energetics that we're dealing with here is to play toward the moon, do the moon. And so the moon in Scorpio is about going deep, and it's about the darker places. It's a much more private energy. It wants to not be as lively as the, grand air trine and all of that Libra energy had. It's going to have us go deeper. It's going to have us go darker, and it's going to have us take a deeper dive into our emotional state. With a Scorpio moon, you can tend to get some unconscious emotional waves that tend to take over. Scorpio is the sign of hypnotism and shamanism and these deep hypnotic states that can be very revealing when you're at the county fair and you see that act, the magician or the hypnotist rather, that is hypnotizing people. But, are you the person who's okay with whatever's going to come out? Well, Scorpio is like the things that come out. And it can also be just power and control issues. There's a lot of power grabs that can take place when we have a lot of Scorpio energy. And this Scorpio moon on the 30th is only setting us up for May 1st, which is going to be the Scorpio full moon. So we're going to be fully engaging with Scorpio energies this week. These deeper, darker undercurrents, these subconscious places, these unconscious places to us. Scorpio full moons are sometimes like the skeletons in the closet come out. A full moon is when we have a direct opposition between the sun and the moon. And so the sun is shining full brilliance. It's a full spotlight on where the moon is in the chart. The sun's in Taurus and directly across is Scorpio. And so we get this full, the light in the closet, like in the scary movies when the lights turn on and the bugs scatter and there's like bones laying there. That's very much a Scorpio scene. It's about deep, deep transformation and the death and the rebirth that comes with its ruling planet of Pluto. Scorpio is a fixed sign, and that means that, and Taurus, the opposing energy here, where the sun is also a fixed energy. And that means that they can be a little tighter, right? A little less willing to budge and to, push the hooves into the ground just a little harder and be a little more oppositional to any kind of forceful type of energy. And so that's where you get these power and control plays. So, taking care that as we are in this highly expressive week of a full moon with extra intense, instinctual Aries energy, wanting to just go, 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 and take steps and directions everywhere we look, that we are taking care that these are places that we want to be putting our energy, because it will go. It will flow right where you put it this week. And it's a very directional type of energy. So with a full moon, right, it's like expression central. And Scorpio is a deeply, deeply emotional sign. There are deep emotional undercurrents here that could come up. You could see people really expressing some things that you didn't even realize were there, or, you could express things out of yourself that you didn't realize were there, because it's these unconscious, subconscious areas. We could have this really brilliant light shined in these areas this week, and kind of seeing things in people scattering a little bit as our eyes are adjusting to this very, very bright light. It's a tense week. And Scorpio and Taurus, this is also the financial axis. So we could see big shifts and big culminations in terms of the last 6 months of our financial situations that we've been working through. So when you have a full moon or a new moon, it automatically is working with the last new moon. So we're going back 6 months ago to the new moon in Scorpio. What were the seeds you were planting then? What were the new intentions you were beginning for your financial situation and for all of your Scorpio area of life? So now 6 months later with the Scorpio full moon, these are coming to fruition and they're coming to full culmination. They're coming to the end point, really. It's coming the furthest that it can go. And now it's going to shift and it's going to move on. And we could feel a lot of emotion around that. There could be some outbursts. There could be some triggers pulled for sure. And so, taking good care that we are trying to lean into the sun here, lean back into Taurus, where Taurus is about taking things a little more slowly and slowing things down, using that fixed energy to slow things down and just kind of be smart. Lean into this Gemini, where we're thinking about things a little bit more, being curious and gathering some data and just asking a lot of questions. It's going to be a very intense week on May 1st. This is the full moon, and we also have a couple of other planetary aspects that day. We have Venus in a sextile to Saturn, and this could be actually helpful. This is a kind of a stabilizing aspect where we bring some rationality in, and it brings in some of this Gemini curiosity where we can actually ask some good questions. And also, Mercury is conjunct Chiron this day. And this could go either way. This could be triggers to our wounds. This could be more of these words as weapons. We could be flinging words as weapons, or we could receive some type of communication, Mercury, that is very healing to the immortal wounds that we carry in this life. Chiron. So yeah, very, very intense over the weekend. Then, really the next day, May 2nd, we shift again with some newer energy. Mercury moves out of Aries, leaving this fiery sign and alleviating a little bit of that fiery energy there, moving into Taurus, that grounded earth energy, that fixed, slower moving energy that's about gathering resources and gathering the energy and starting to figure out what realistically we have the resources to move forward with. And then later in the evening, late in the evening, the moon moves into Sagittarius. And so we shift out of that deep, dark Scorpio land, and we move into a very enthusiastic, energetic, another fiery sign. Sagittarius is a mutable energy, so it's a really flexible. It can kind of go any which way. And if there's been any big shifts and transitions and transformations over this Scorpio full moon, or there was some big painful points, that made us feel kind of raw, the Sagittarius is like, okay, now we get to take this on like it's like our adventure, and Sagittarians love adventures. So it's like this new adventure that we're on, and it gets kind of fun again. And we also see this moon in Sagittarius, creating some bigger visions. So we kind of get out of those dark areas and we look into the distance a little bit more for our vision. And then as we approach the 3rd and the 4th of May, more intense energy building here and taking much, much caution with the whole week this week. It just feels like it could be all accidents and injuries, if we're not careful enough, stubbing toes and, saying things that unintentionally cause, feelings to be hurt or situations to be altered permanently, but we didn't mean to do that. Because on the 4th of May, Mars is squaring Jupiter. And Mars is in Aries. It's the ruler of the sign of Aries. And Mars is the action-oriented planet. That's the warrior. It's going to fight for everything that it wants. It's aggressive and it's destructive and it's overly confident and it believes in itself. It's squaring off to Jupiter. Jupiter is another really big energy and it expands everything that it touches. So we get an expansion of this overconfidence, of this kind of destructive type of Mars rulership that comes in, and we just want to be careful to really pick our battles because everybody's going to be feeling it. Everyone's going to be feisty. Everyone's going to be fighting and stepping up and standing up for things. And if you are looking at your own chart, this is at 19 degrees Aries Cancer. So if you have 19 degrees of anything in your chart, it's going to be affecting you and aggravating and challenging this degree in your chart. So, pick your battles, everyone's going to be fighting for their own personal truths. That Sagittarius moon is all about belief systems and what I believe and really using the higher mind, and being philosophical and looking into things. And so it could be a very mentally stimulating week. And it also could just be a very fast moving week once again. And also just very, very intense. So take care of your energies and make sure that you are getting out under the beautiful sunshine, because that is a way of just getting in touch with the natural cycles around us, and also just relieving stress, just by hugging a tree or putting your hands or your bare feet on the ground and letting the Earth Mother rebalance you. And I know you're going to do amazing. I hope you have a really good Scorpio full moon, and we'll be back again here in the Cosmic Community Astrology with your galactic ambassador, Stacey Dredd. I wish you the very best. Take care. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Cosmic Community Podcast. More can be found at kpov.org/thecosmiccommunity.